Africa doesn't need the biggest AI. We need the most useful AI. Well, last week we asked whether Africa will simply use artificial intelligence or whether we will own part of the intelligence economy. This week, I want to take the conversation one step further. Africa may not need to build the biggest AI model in the world, but we absolutely need AI that understands our problems, our businesses, our languages, and our communities. Think about AI helping a cocoa farmer in Côte d'Ivoire identifying disease before losing a harvest. And think about the opportunity behind that. Africa's food and agriculture market is projected to reach about 1 trillion US dollars by 2030. Yes. AI companies that improve yields, detect disease, or reduce losses only need to capture a small piece of that enormous economy. Or helping a nurse in Botswana spend less time on paperwork and more time with patients. While Africa's healthcare market has been projected to exceed $100 billion by 2030. AI that improves diagnostics, administration, clinical productivity can participate in that growing market, or helping a university student in Senegal learn difficult subjects in a language and context they understand. While the IFC estimates that digital skills training alone represents roughly $130 billion opportunity in the sub-Saharan Africa through 2030, with about 230 million jobs expected to require a digital skill. Now, this is where Africa's AI opportunity becomes real. And remember, these numbers are not just estimates of AI revenue alone. They show us the size of the industries where AI can create value. Well, here are the 4 developments worth paying attention to this week. And story number 1, Nigeria wants more control over the infrastructure behind AI. Well, Nigeria unveiled a new national digital cloud policy this week. And before the word cloud makes this sound overly technical, think about it this way. Well, whenever you use online banking or stream a movie or save something online or ask an AI a question, computers somewhere are processing that information. So those computers sit inside data centers. Now, Nigeria wants more of that infrastructure, more computing capacities to exist locally. The government says the policy is intended to attract investment into data centers, cloud infrastructure, and even AI computing capacity while strengthening local capabilities. And there is serious money behind this infrastructure. The African Data Center Association projects the African data center market could grow to roughly 9 billion US dollars by 2029. Yet Africa currently accounts for less than 1% of the data center capacity. Why should an ordinary African care? Imagine a growing digital business in Abuja, okay? If most of the technology it depends on is hosted thousands of kilometers away, much of the infrastructure and economic value may also sit somewhere else. But if more of that infrastructure exists locally, you can potentially create jobs for engineers, electricians, cybersecurity professionals, construction workers, energy providers, and many other businesses around it. While the IFC estimates there's room for up to 6 billion US dollars in digital infrastructure investment every year across Africa. plus a roughly $2.7 billion in opportunities helping African businesses become more digital. So, this isn't only a technology story, it is an economic story. But the question is, as Africa's digital economy grows, how much of the infrastructure underneath it will Africans actually participate in building and operating? Story number 2 is Africa wants to equip 20,000 people with AI skills. While the East African community in Germany recently launched the second AI for East African Challenge. Their goal is to reach around 20,000 East Africans with AI skills and give students, researchers, and entrepreneurs opportunities to build solutions for regional challenges. 20,000 sounds impressive, but here's the number that I would like to see 5 years from now. How many useful solutions came from the 20,000 people? Imagine a developer in Bujumbura building AI software that helps small merchants predict which products they need to restock. That is a real commercial opportunity. Africa has more than 40 million micro businesses that could benefit from better digital technology, and the IFC estimates roughly $2.7 million in investment opportunity around the digital transformation of African businesses in general. Or an entrepreneur in Juba creating an AI tool that translates important public information into languages more people understand. There isn't yet a reliable standalone dollar estimate for African languages, but language is a gateway into Africa's much larger digital economy. While IFC and Google have estimated that Africa's internet economy could eventually contribute roughly $712 billion by 2050. Making that economy accessible in African languages expands who can participate in it. Or a researcher in Arusha using AI to help tourism businesses understand visitor patterns and pricings and demand. That is AI entering another huge industry. Tourism and travel contribute about $228 billion to the African economy. This was in 2025. And with the current forecast, we estimate it to reach about $241 billion in 2026. So, this is when AI training becomes more than learning how to use ChatGPT. It becomes economic capability. Africa does not just need more people who know what AI is. We need more people who know what valuable problem they want to solve with AI. Story number 3, the World Bank has a simple AI strategy for developing countries. This is probably my favorite story this week. Well, the World Bank's 2026 World Development Report proposes 3 words for developing economies. 1 is adopt, 2 is adapt, and 3 is advance. First, adopt. Well, use useful AI technology that already exists. Africa does not need to spend billions creating everything Silicon Valley has already built. Second, adopt. Take the technology and make it work for our reality. An AI agriculture tool designed around the farms of Europe may not automatically understand a smallholder growing maize in Malawi. But agriculture and food in Africa are moving toward a $1 trillion market by 2030. AI that helps farmers predict weather, identify crop disease, improve irrigation, reduce waste, or find better markets is entering one of Africa's largest economic opportunities. A financial AI developed in the New York may not understand how informal businesses operate in Lusaka. That matters because African financial technology already represents a multi-billion-dollar industry. McKinsey previously estimated African fintech revenues had the potential to reach around $30 billion annually, showing the scale available to companies improving payments, credit, fraud detection, and financial access. Or an education system designed around English-speaking classrooms may not properly serve a student learning French, Arabic, Amharic, or Swahili, or one of Africa's many local languages. Again, this is economic opportunity behind the problem. IFC estimates that preparing Africa's workforce with digital skills represents roughly $130 billion training opportunity through 2030. Then comes advance, okay? So as countries develop more skills, infrastructure, research, and computer capacity, they can gradually build more sophisticated technology themselves. Okay, so the World Bank estimates that AI could meaningfully increase productivity in about 16% of jobs in developing economies, while about 4% are exposed to automation from generative AI. This is important because much of the conversation about AI has been AI is coming to take everyone's job. But no. For many African economies, the more immediate story could actually be, how can AI help one worker accomplish more? Imagine a teacher in Freetown preparing lessons more quickly. Multiply that across education systems that need millions of additional teachers and classrooms by 2030. And then AI-assisted education becomes a potentially important productivity tool. The World Bank estimates sub-Saharan Africa will need around 11 million new teachers and 9 million new classrooms to achieve universal education by 2030. An accountant in Windhoek analyzing information faster. Now that sits inside the broader opportunity to digitize Africans' more than 600,000 formal businesses and 40 million micro businesses. Or let's see a doctor in Maputo getting assistance reviewing medical information. Now, Africa's healthcare market is projected to exceed $100 billion by 2030, creating more room for companies that use AI to improve clinical work, administration, and access to care. Or a small business owner in Lome automating repetitive administrative work. Well, IFC research found businesses that use digital technology intensively can achieve substantially higher productivity, while the continent still has billions of dollars of untapped business digitalization opportunity. That is a very different conversation. Story number 4, look at how expensive the global AI race is becoming. Now let's put Africa's strategy into perspective, okay? This week, NVIDIA committed to providing guarantees of up to $105 billion supporting a massive open AI data center project in Ohio in the United States. One AI infrastructure project. So, should an entrepreneur in Africa look at this and give up? Absolutely not. It should tell us something else. Well, we do not necessarily need to compete in the same race. Imagine a company in Alexandria building AI specifically for port logistics. Efficient ports and logistics are critical to the African Continental Free Trade Area. Well, the World Bank estimates deeper implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area could increase African income by as much as $570 billion by 2030, with reducing trade friction and improving how goods move across borders playing a major role. Or let's see a startup in Gaborone helping cattle farmers detect disease or health problems earlier. Livestock already represents almost 1/3 of the value added in African agriculture, within a food and agribusiness market projected to approach $1 trillion by 2030. A company in Douala helping businesses move goods more efficiently. Again, the opportunity around African trade is huge. Full African Continental Free Trade Area implementation could more than double intra-African exports by 2030 under deeper integration scenarios. Or an engineer in Addis Ababa building AI that works properly with European languages. Today, African languages remain dramatically underrepresented in AI training data and online content. But the economic opportunity sits inside the digital economy that could eventually contribute around $712 billion to Africa's economy by 2050. Now, the companies that make that digital economy accessible to hundreds of million more Africans through local language can participate in that growth. Those systems could be much smaller than ChatGPT, but locally, they could be incredibly valuable. So, the most powerful AI in the world is not automatically what is the most useful AI for Africa. And sometimes, the best business opportunity is not building the biggest technology. It is solving the most expensive problem. And as I close, here is my takeaway this week. Africa does not have to copy Silicon Valley. We can take what already exists and build from there. Adopt, use the technology, adapt, make it understand our languages or industries and our realities, then advance. Build more of the technology ourselves. Look at the industries we've talked about today. Agriculture is moving towards a $1 trillion industry. Healthcare exceeding over 100 billion. Tourism already above 200 billion. A 130 billion digital skills opportunity. I mean, teachers, classes, lecturers, all people that are going to be involved in training other people to use digital tools. So billions more in infrastructure, business software, finance and trade. Now, AI does not own those markets, but AI companies that solve valuable problems inside them can capture part of that value. And as we do that, we need electricity, we need internet access, we need African data, we need skilled people, and we need African entrepreneurs willing to solve difficult problems. Because Africa's AI opportunity will not be measured by how many people downloaded an AI app. It will be measured by what happens in our farms, our schools, our hospitals, our businesses, and communities because of it. And for the entrepreneurs watching this, maybe the question this week is, what billion-dollar African industry has a problem that you can solve with AI? As I often say, technology is a tool. The question is, whose hands are building with it? Whose problems is it solving? And whose future it creates? I'm Alban. This is the AI Weekly Africa. I'll see you next week. And until then, do not just use AI, build with it. God richly bless Africa. Amen.